According to Donald Rumsfeld, there are known knowns. These are things that we know that we know. There are known unknowns. That is to say, there are things that we know we don't know. But there are also unknown unknowns. There are things we don't know we don't know. And I'd say there is another category, and the most dangerous of all. Things we think we know that we don't know. And one of the things that we think we know that we don't know is, what is the purpose of a mosque? And I'm going to tell you. I'm Granniopteryx. Okay, so this is a somewhat subdued BBC report on an airstrike by Israel on a mosque in the West Bank city of Jenin. Interestingly enough, in Al Jazeera's report, it is the occupied West Bank refugee camp. Now, I want you to look at this because, quite frankly, this looks just like any other city in the Middle East. They may refer to it as a refugee camp, but there are the same sorts of buildings you'd find in any town, anywhere in the MENA. Not the MENA, the Middle East and North Africa. Not that the capital cities would look like this, but the suburbs and the suburban towns would, just like that. So when people say refugee camp, maybe you can put that in with your things you think you know that you don't know category. All right, let's get back to this rather subdued BBC report. I think recently they've decided they better be a little less colourful in their instant take on what the Palestinians are telling them, or at least the Gazans. So it carried out an airstrike on the West Bank city of Jenin, and the outrage about them hitting a mosque is not evident. Normally it would be, Israel destroys a mosque. Okay? And I'm Granniopteryx, reminding you to click the like button, to subscribe to my channel, and to, if you're on YouTube, to click the bell button for notifications. All the links to my other channels and donation sites are in the description. But really, just clicking like is a great help to my channel, and subscribing. Okay, back to church. Sort of. Okay, Israel carried out an airstrike in Jenin in the northern occupied West Bank on Sunday, but Israel says that Hamas was using a mosque as a terrorist compound. So it occurred to me a lot of people don't really know what a mosque is. And a lot of Christian people have the idea that a mosque is a place of worship, like a church. Well, let's think of what a church is. The lines are quite blurred now, but until recently you could get married only in a church. And that was because the Christian attitude to marriage has to do with a spiritual connection. You become one person. And the ceremony in church is confirming that, and it's on consecrated ground. And that's the important aspect of it. That doesn't exist in Islam. I mean, going to the Islamic idea of marriage, it's just a legal contract. It's to do with inheritance, legitimacy of children, that sort of thing. But I digress. I'm talking about consecrated ground. So let's get back to church. Even though things have changed, Christian civilizations have a bad feeling about attacking a place of worship because a place of worship is supposed to be holier than an ordinary building. But in Islam, it is just that, an ordinary building. The only properly holy building is the Kaaba, which was supposed to have been built by Abraham and was declared holy when Muhammad took it over. And there's a lot of land around it so that pilgrims can circle the Kaaba. Well, Mecca used to be a lot smaller, and the area, which is called the Masjid al-Haram, the area around there from which Muslim pilgrims can circle the Kaaba, that started to get too crowded. So what the Saudi authorities have been doing recently is demolishing buildings around that and expanding the, well, what would you call it? The terrace, expanding the space around the Kaaba. Some of those buildings are mosques and historic mosques and graveyards, and they're just being ploughed up because Islam doesn't have the same attitude to mosques as Christians have to, say, churchyards and churches. Some people in Saudi do object, but in general and religiously, nobody is particularly bothered. A mosque is not consecrated ground in the same way a church is. It's a meeting place. It's a convenient place for delivering sermons, for having social gatherings. It's an educational place, schoolrooms. It's a community hall. That's what it is. It is like the church hall in a village that has a church. It's a place where everybody has meetings, but it's not in itself particularly holy. Now, of course, there are some mosques lavishly decorated and beautiful buildings, but still, I have to remind you, they're not consecrated ground in the same way as a church. And I suppose that's why Hamas and other radical groups of the same type use mosques for storing weapons. They don't have any particular objection to that because Islam, being a religion founded on war and conquest, they can easily argue to themselves that a mosque can serve as an arsenal because that's in the service of Islam, and the purpose of Islam is to propagate Islam. So the mosque is fulfilling one of its primary purposes. That could be the way they see it. So if some Muslim comes onto an interview and starts talking about the nasty Israelis destroying a mosque, then just remember, that's not the same as a church. It's not the same thing at all. And that person complaining about it knows that too. All right, that's it. Till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the granniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.